So here is the gist. I'm going to talk to you about simplifying exponential expressions, and these are ones that deal with multiplying. But what I want you to understand is that the whole point of this is that there's simpler ways. There's ways that you want to simplify these problems so that they're not really long. And what I mean by that is, I'm not going to tell you to go home and do 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 problems for homework tonight. I'm going to tell you that you're going to go home and you're going to do 9 problems for homework tonight because you simplify it. So that's essentially what we're doing here. We're just using different rules for exponents to help us simplify problems so that they're written in the most concise form. So the first one that I want to point out is that there is a rule that says when you are multiplying numbers that are to a power that have the same base, you can add the exponents. Because if you look at this here, the way it's written out, 3 to the power of 5 is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And 3 squared is 3 times 3. Well, if you look back at it and get rid of the parentheses, there are 7 3's here. So this is really, essentially, 3 to the power of 7. So a short way of doing that is to look at the powers and add them together. And you can do it that way. So on this example here, I can look at these powers, and it only works for numbers that are the same base. So I've got 2 to the power of 4 times 2 to the power of negative 2. Well, 4 plus negative 2 is positive 2. So this all simplifies to 2 to the power of 2. But then I've got my base of 3. 3 to the power of 4 and times 3 to the power of 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. So this simplifies to 3 to the power of 6. This one, q cubed times r squared times q to the power of 6. The q's that have the same base, I can go ahead and simplify those. Q to the power of 3 times q to the power of 6. I add my exponents together, so that becomes q to the power of 9 times, and then I'm just left with this r squared, so that's just going to be q to the power of 9 times r squared. And again, I apologize, the handwriting looks awful when I'm recording on this. I know it's kind of hard to read. So now we have n to the power of 3 times n to the power of negative 4 times n. Well, remember, if there's not an exponent there, it's understood that that's to the power of 1. So now when I'm looking at my exponents, I've got 3 plus negative 4, which is negative 1, plus positive 1 makes this 0. So this is going to simplify to n to the power of 0. Well, remember, anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. So this whole expression right here simplifies to 1. 7 to the power of 8 times 7 to the power of 4 is equal to 7 to the power of 12. Here, again, we want to look at numbers with the same base. So 3 to the power of negative 3 and 3 to the power of positive 4. I kind of got off a little bit. Becomes 3 to the power of positive 1 because negative 3 plus positive 4 is positive 1, so this is 3 to the power of 1, but I'm just going to put a 3 there because I don't have to have that exponent of 1 because anything to the power of 1 is the base. And then I've got 5 to the power of 8 times 5 to the power of 2. Again, they have the same base, so I'm going to add my exponents, and so this becomes 5 to the power of 10. Now, another rule with exponents is that if you are doing the power of a power, that you multiply the powers together. So 4 cubed, in parentheses, and all of that is squared, that means 4 cubed times 4 cubed. Well, if you write that out in expanded form, that's 4 times 4 times 4, that's the 4 cubed, times 4 times 4 times 4, that's the other 4 cubed. Well, that's the same thing as saying 4 to the power of 6. Well, there is a rule that says that you can look at the exponents, and so instead of having to write it out in this expanded form every time, that you can multiply the exponents together and say that this is the same thing as 4 to the power of 6. So if I have this example here, 5 squared and all of that to the power of 4 is the same thing as 5 to the power of 8.
If there is any...
Alright, 4 to the power of 3 and all of that to the power of 0. 3 times 0 is 0, so this is equal to 4 to the power of 0, which simplifies to 1. Here you've got a little bit more challenging of a problem, and you're kind of the two rules together that we just talked about. So this one simplifies 8 cubed and all of that to the power of negative 5 is equal to 8 to the power of negative 15. And then here we've got x to the power of 4, so that's going to equal to x to the power of 4. Well, now I'm going to use that rule that says since they're the same base and I'm multiplying them, I can add the exponents. Negative 15 plus positive 4 is equal to negative 11, so this is x to the power of negative 11. But remember, we don't want to have any exponents in our final answer, so this is equal to 1 over x to the power of 11. 3 to the power of 4 and all of this to the power of 5 is the same thing as 3 to the power of 20. 6 to the power of 0 and all of that cubed is equal to 6 to the power of 0, which is equal to 1. And then let me show you the last rule that we talked about today in class, was when you are raising a power and when there's multiple things inside the parentheses. Well, the rule is that you have to cube or do whatever the power is, apply the power to everything that's inside the parentheses. So for this particular example, I'm going to cube the 8 and cube the x. You're distributing the power to everything that's inside the parentheses. So 8x cubed means 8x times 8x times 8x, which is the same thing as 8 times 8 times 8 times x times x times x. There they are, they're just cubed and grouped together. Well, 8 cubed is equal to 512, and x cubed is just equal to x cubed. So you can see in these examples here, I'm going to apply this power of 2 to everything that's inside of this. So this becomes negative. 2 squared is 4, and y squared is y squared. Notice that the negative sign is not inside the parentheses. The negative did not go with the 2. The negative means that your whole answer is going to be negative in the end. This particular example, the negative is inside the parentheses, which means it travels with the 2. So I'm going to cube the negative 2, and then I'm going to cube the y. Well, negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 8, and then y cubed is y cubed. So this answer is negative 8 y cubed. For this one, you're going to square again everything that's on the inside. But remember, we can still apply other rules. So this problem, this part right here, becomes x to the power of 6 squared, and then this one is y to the power of negative 3, and it is squared. Well, we're going to apply those rules. Anything that's to the power of a power, you multiply your exponents. So this is going to become x to the power of 12. And this is y to the power of negative 6. The problem here is, again, we've got this negative exponent, so we need to simplify this. My x to the power of 12 is going to stay on top. It's going to be my numerator, and then y to the negative 6 is going to be on the bottom as a denominator. It's the bottom part of my expression. Oops, and it's not positive.
Teachers, pardon the interruption.